Killer create vibes now.
Welcome to another episode of the Get Love Like Mine podcast. We are your humble hosts. I'm Keisha Amos. This is my beautiful husband, Sam Amos. And we have finally reached episode 10. Guys, this is a labor of love for us. I know I probably explained before that God put it on my heart to start this podcast. He gave me the vision, and I'm so grateful for how things are going. Grateful for everyone who's listening. I ran a little ad this week and got I got trolled a little bit in the comments, but that just let me know that I'm doing something right. If somebody had to scroll through and couldn't resist the urge to leave a negative comment, that just let me know I'm doing something right. But anyway, let's go ahead and what are we talking about this week?
Today's topic will be on parenting once again. Something that you can probably never learn too much about. And hopefully as parents, we don't ever think we know it all. Mm-hmm. So we're going to just touch on a few things that like we have dealt with and encountered with our own kids, as well as being raised and being the kid. Mm-hmm. And just kind of maybe compare them a little bit and just kind of open them up and discuss them.
Well, let me first just vent, because our kids have just been doing the most this week. We, between us, have 5 kids, ages 7, 14, 18, 20, and 21. At any given moment, they're all here. But as we explained, we have a blended family, so 2 of them, they come and go. The other 3 are here all the time. And it just kills me how I can be at work and come home and see the trash can is overflowing, it's dishes in the sink, and the kids are here all day, or, most of the day. And it never even dawns on them to take care of these things. Like, they eat up all the food. We have really been going through it, guys, with these kids. Like, we have a little small refrigerator that we keep bottled water in. Everyone in this house drinks bottled water daily. They stop by that little refrigerator and get a bottle out. My husband will go to the store and buy 10 to 12 cases of water at a time. Do you know these people won't even fill the refrigerator up? Like, they will get water out, but they won't fill it up. They just walk by and say, oh, it's only 2 bottles left in there. Well, I'm not going to be the one to break down and get the case of water and fill the refrigerator back up. It's just so much. It's little things, and we're grateful that God has, allowed us to be the shepherds of these kids, leading them into adulthood. We pray that they grow into great human beings, but right now they are just getting on my last nerve. So I think the biggest thing for me is how different they are than what we were growing up. First of all, when I was growing up, I could not wait to get out of my mama's house. I could not wait to move away. I wanted to be 18 so bad so that I could do what I wanted to do, even though she still didn't let me do what I wanted to do. I had that ambition to go, and I worked full time. I went to school full time. Like, I had my own car. I paid bills. I think when I turned 18, cell phones came out. Like, that was the big clunky cell phone. I bought my first cell phone because before that we had pagers. I just couldn't wait to be independent. But these kids, I don't know how we're ever going to get them out of the house.
I don't either.
We're trapped.
It's hard to raise kids and not compare them to your own self when you were being raised. But you find yourself doing it all the time, because some things you see either it wouldn't have gone, like your parents wouldn't have put up with it if it was you doing it. And some things you just have to wonder, like, where is this kid's head? Where's your head? I don't understand that. Just like you mentioned the little mini refrigerator that we keep just nothing but bottled water in, just so people can. We have a lot of water drinkers in this house, and so that's just a convenient thing there, just to have plenty of water always on hand. So it just goes in its own separate refrigerator. So anyway, I don't know if mentality-wise, I wish that's the part I could change about them. Because if they saw it like I see it, then to me, I think that would make a difference. But they don't. And then, like, we have family meetings. We discuss things that, y'all can fix around here or do better or don't do. We had a big thing at one time about leaving out of this house at 12 or 1, at midnight or 1 in the morning, like, while I was hungry, I'm going, well, you should have ate a long time ago. You don't just think, oh, I'm hungry at 12:30 at night. I'm going to head on out, and you're going in and out the door. But anyway, back to the refrigerator and the bottled water. To me, if they saw it the way I see it, I see this is a refrigerator that I bought, right? I go to the wholesale place. I get the water loaded in my truck. Bring it home and load it in the washroom. The washroom is about 10, maybe 12 steps away from the refrigerator. Now, there's multiple people in this house that, just like you said, will not go past that refrigerator. When I put that door, it's almost like turning your turn signal on at the next light. It's so automatic. They just cannot walk past it without opening that door and grabbing one. That's fine. I mean, really, we buy it for that reason, right?
Right.
That's not the problem. You drink it, you can drink as much as you want. If you drink that one up or drink the 2 that you took out of here, I see them going to get 3 at a time before. So what? It's not about that, because water is not expensive. But in my eyes, I see it as I bought the refrigerator, I bought the water, I lugged it home, and I packed it in the house. But no one will fill this box up with it. So, okay, I'll fill it up, or it gets filled up once, and boy, everybody's rushing to it. And there's times that thing goes down to 2 bottles, 1 bottle. We've seen it completely empty, and people still walking by, snatching it open. Oh.
It's no water.
There's no water. Close the door. Go about your business. Your mind didn't think, I should put some in here because I wanted one now, there's not any. But the mindset that we're seeing is, well, whoever put it in there last time, they're running a little behind schedule. So I'll wait them out.
That's exactly what that is.
Instead of helping them out. I'm doing this for the crew, but I'm also part of the crew, so I'm going to get some too if I fill it up. Won't fill it up.
Things like that. Same with the paper towels. Paper towel roll is one lonely paper towel hanging on the roll. Like we said, we have 5 kids, and my mom lives with us. So we buy everything wholesale: toilet paper, paper towels, water, bread,
eggs,
milk, all of those things. So it's a pack of, how many come in the paper towel roll?
Ooh, man.
And they're double rolls. So it's like at least 24 rolls of paper towels sitting right there, but they will see one lonely sheet of paper towel on the roll and will not replace the roll. And another thing these kids do that kills me is, let's say we bought a pack of cookies. Like, I might have bought them and put them somewhere because I don't want them to eat them all up. But of course, they're eating them anyway. So they think that I don't notice that they're gone, and then they leave one cookie left in the pack, and they won't eat that one. They don't want to be responsible for eating the last one and having to throw the pack away. They will leave that one cookie in there for weeks, but they have been dipping in it the entire time it's been in there, and I know they have because I'm not eating all the cookies. But they kill me with this. I'm not gonna be the last one. Even with the water, they'll leave one bottle of water in the refrigerator.
One only bottle.
And they'll pass like, oh, it's only one. Well, I'm not gonna be responsible for taking their last one. Like, I don't even know where that mentality comes from.
Or if I take this last one, then I can't pretend like I didn't know this whole thing was empty.
Oh yeah.
And
then I might be responsible
for
having
putting some more in, right? Like, it's a mindset, and I don't know what it's going to take to get them to move out of. Because to me, I when I see it, and we've seen it so much, and we just vent to each other, and we have family meetings periodically, and they may change for a week or two, whatever, but it goes back. But my thing is, I don't understand what it's going to take to get y'all out of this mentality to look out for yourself. You know, you're not doing me any favors. I've already done the hard part. I wish y'all could go and pack it home and pay for it and let me be the one to fill it up. But, you know, I end up having to do, you know, both sides of the fence, and you know, I don't get the mindset here. It's all I watch them between the kids and Granny. Everybody's watching everybody. Now, nobody bought any of the stuff, but everybody's watching. Well, if you didn't feel it, then I'm not gonna feel it. Or if you didn't clean that part, if you didn't unload the dishwasher, why should I do it?
And they kill me with that. The dishwasher will be empty. So we have a practice of, you load the dishwasher all day. At night we run the dishwasher. In the morning it gets empty. The dishwasher will be empty all day, and they will just put their dishes in the sink. They won't rinse them off. They won't put them up. It's just mess. It is getting to be a lot. They will fill up the trash can. The trash can will be so full that the lid is propped open. It won't even close. And they'll just come through and find one little piece of something and tuck that down. They're just it's like they're playing Jenga with the trash. Nobody wants to be responsible for emptying the trash.
And we discuss this all the time. Like, if you're home all day, let me say it again. If you're home all day, that little bit is going to take up about 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take 2 minutes out of your all day. You can't be that lazy or disengaged. This is where you live. And then, of course, we have the conversation, what is this kid going to be like living on your own?
Oh my God. That's why we're concerned that we're never going to get them out of this house, because how could they possibly make it on their own?
And I'm not coming to your apartment to vacuum, to clean that blanket of dust that I can write my name in. They'll live in that room with all that dust on everything. Like, don't bother me. How'd you? You sneezing and I need some medicine for my allergies.
I need some allergy medicine.
No, you don't. you need some wood cleaner. Like, man, when we were growing up, we had to clean up every Saturday morning. Now,
oh yeah,
my mom would let us watch Fat Albert and, you know, the Pink Panther and all those. But when that went off and the karate movies came on, it was time to clean up. And we had to clean the house from head to toe. Even when we got out of school, we had chores. We had to hit them every single day. And we had a dishwasher, but wasn't nobody using it. She wouldn't let you use it. You couldn't use it. Yeah. You got to wash these dishes by hand and set them over here, let them dry. Then somebody got to dry them off and put them up. So you and I have discussed this before. We tried to look back on the way we were raised. There are always things that you say, oh, the way I was raised in this particular incident, I'm not gonna do that to my kids.
Right.
Or there are some things that we did that was done to us that, oh, I'm definitely gonna use that. But I don't know, it just gets tedious at times trying not to make these kids be us. You have to be you. There's only one me. But that version of you is not gonna cut it. You just can't be.
That version of you is gonna have you being here the rest of your life.
Right.
That's not gonna work.
No, that's not typical. You don't want your kids to stay that long. When you get to be adults, okay, we do whatever we can to help you on the launching pad get off. If it's help you look for a job, we give you job listings all the time. Jobs that we wish we could have got when we were that age that they just weren't available. There was no internet, all that good stuff. Help you get a car, all that. So where do you draw the line? You don't want to overdo it, and then I think that's kind of where we have faulted. When you overdo it, then this kid gets so comfortable that you can.
I saw something on social media this week, and I may be completely messing it up. I should have screenshot it so I can remember, but basically the guy said that his grandfather worked hard and struggled. His dad struggled less than his grandfather. He has it easy, but his son is going to struggle and work hard. And he said the reasoning behind it is that struggle breeds hard work. But having it easy breeds laziness, which makes you have to struggle. And so I feel like that's where we are with our kids. Like, we've worked hard to get where we are, but they have it so easy. Like, when I was growing up, when I was 18, I had a full-time job, as I said. And I bought a new car for my 18th birthday. I had to pay my own car note, my own insurance. Like I said, cell phones had just came out, so I paid my own cell phone bill. I paid the cable bill in the house because my mom wasn't paying for cable and I wanted cable, and she said, if you want it, you pay for it. So I did. I also paid the gas and the water bill. Those were two bills that she gave me just for, being an adult living in the house. Well, we said with our kids that we weren't going to do that because I felt like it was unfair. I didn't think it was, it's not like I was making a boatload of money. And so I felt like
that's the biggest thing. Why we don't do that with our kids. Now, your own insurance on your car, your own cell phone, yeah, those are your things that you want to have. But paying one of my bills, which you and I both had to do when we were kids, I had to pay a bill in my mom's house when I was 18. But we look at our kids now, and they're not making no money, right? So it feels wrong for me to ask you for some of it. Like, I know you don't have the kind of money to be paying my bills.
Right.
So that just seems wrong to me. I'm not going to ask my kids for that.
And that's probably what contributed to me wanting to move out. Like, I felt it was unfair for me to have to do some of the bills. Like I said, my car note, my insurance, the cell phone, the cable, those were things I wanted to do. But paying the gas bill and the water bill was not something I wanted to do. And, I was pretty much forced to do it. But then I think when I turned 20, I got a raise for an extra $200 a month. And I was so happy. I go and tell my mom, I got a raise. I'm going to be making an extra $200 a month. And she was like, well, good. Now you can pay rent $200 a month. I'm like, oh, no. At that point, that was like, it's time to go. She was like, I just want you to be responsible. I said, okay, well, if you want me to be responsible, I'm going to show you how responsible I am. And I moved out. I got my own place. I got a bunch of used furniture to furnish my little 1-bedroom apartment. And I got out there and realized I didn't make nearly enough money. I'd have been much better off just paying my mama that $200 and continuing to do what I was doing, because I ended up having to get a part-time job. I was working full-time. I had to get a part-time job and trying to go to school full-time. And it just set me up to where I ended up dropping out of college. And that's part of the reason we don't want to put that type of strain on our kids. Like, don't force them to pay for bills with money that they don't really have. But at the same time, I look at how my mom did, and I feel like it made me be independent. Like, it made me grow up, realize, okay, if you want to do this, you have to do this to do it. I realized how I had to work hard. I had to work 2 jobs if I was going to pay my bills and my car note. Like, if I don't do it, I didn't have anyone else to rely on. And it kind of made me who I am, in the sense that I'm independent. I don't rely on anybody but God to sustain me. And if it's something that I want that I don't have or I can't afford to get, I know how to work hard to get it. And I just feel like for our kids, they don't really, I feel like we're failing them in that sense, because we're not forcing them to do anything extra, and they just seem unmotivated. Like they don't have, it's like it's too good here. So they don't have that desire to leave the nest. And I'll add this because I talked to my cousin a while back, and she brought up the point that our culture is the only culture that forces the kids to leave home at 18. That other cultures, the family resides together. It will end up being like 3 or 4 generations in one house. The kids, they grow up, they go to college, they do all these things before they move out. Like when they're moving out into their own house. They're not moving into an apartment. But I think the difference is that, like you said, they're going to college, they find jobs that they're making money and they're contributing to the household, and our kids aren't doing that.
Well, I can feel someone looking at me a little strange about what I said earlier about not making the kid pay the bill. And here's the flip side of that. The flip side is that you'll come home and that kid may be gone, but his TV's still on. His Xbox still on. Ceiling fan running. He's got all these electrical things going. He's not paying any light bill. Mm-hmm. So he sees no urgency on turning lights off. So in that way, you can say, okay, it's counterproductive. It's not a good thing to say, okay, you need to feel the sting of a light bill. So I'll have to quit telling you or going behind you saying, hey, stop leaving this TV on. And you went and laced up your shoes to go play basketball, TV and the Xbox still on. And there's actually people in the background talking. They got these friends still online and they're still playing, but you put yours down. And so you don't have to look at me crazy. I see that part of it too. But our whole reason for not making the kids pay is because they don't have any money to begin with. They're the airplane on the runway. You haven't even started flying yet. Mm-hmm. And these are my bills. I don't need your money for my household. Yeah, I want you to be responsible and all that other good stuff, but that's not a good enough excuse to put the bill that's coming with my name on it on your desk and be like, here, you go grow up real fast. That's not going to grow you up. That's going to cause, what's that word? Resentment. Yeah, there it is. You're going to resent your parents. And kids don't forget that stuff. Because here we are. How many years ago was that? We're still talking about it.
Almost 30 years ago, and I still feel like I shouldn't have had to pay those bills.
Right. I have
Those weren't my bills.
a good friend of mine. We came up together since like 6th grade. So we ended up, as we got a little up in age, 16, 18, whatever it was, we worked a lot of the same jobs. And we talk about it all the time. We worked at I think it was a car dealership. At one time we weren't salesmen, but we were doing like the caddy and cleaning the cars or whatever. And then, we got paid every week. You don't see jobs like that too much anymore. That check would come and be about $89. $89 for 1 week worth of work. Boy, you get home and mom's sitting there waving that water bill like, man, all I have is $89, man. Well, you better lose about 60 of it.
Wow.
Yeah, right quick. So it was hard. I vowed I would not do that to my kids when I get older.
What about chores? Were there chores that you did as a kid that you said you weren't going to make your kids do?
In a sense, because my parents made us clean the whole house every day. Whatever was wrong in the front room, shoes, newspaper, because there was newspapers back then. Newspapers, sale papers on Sunday, any of that stuff. And then my sister and I, we had to make my parents' bed. They had to make the bed up, right? So she did one side, I did the other side. So there were many days where if I was watching cartoons, she went in there and did her side. She made her side up, and the other side was still messed up.
How petty.
Hey, well, that's what you are when you're a kid, right? We didn't even think of it like that, but we do now. That's pretty.
So, I mean, it's funny that you would mention that because I have a brother, but my brother and I are 15 years apart. So we both basically grew up as only children. I was the only child until he was born like the week before my 15th birthday. And then by the time he was old enough to start doing stuff, I moved out. I moved out when I was 20. He was 5. So, he basically was the only child in the house. So there were chores that I think my only real like everyday chore was washing the dishes. And I know like when I was in high school, I went through I won't call it a rebellious stage, but I was
in rebellion.
not really rebellious, but I just stayed in my room. Like I didn't want to be around anybody. I would just stay in my room. So I was barely eating. And so when my mom would be like, go wash the dishes, I'd be like, I didn't use none of them dishes. And she like, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but you better go wash them dishes. So when I grew up and had my own kids, I felt like this is not something that I'm going to make my child do every day. I'm not going to make my child wash the dishes every day. Like I said, we use a dishwasher. That's what technology is about, to make things easier in the household. So there are a lot of things that's easier. Now, one thing that I do make them, well, I'm not going to say I make them do. I tell them to do it. I don't know if they're really doing it, is cleaning their bathroom every Saturday. I didn't, like you said, we used to clean up every Saturday too. So I don't tell them do it every Saturday, but I tell them do it once a week. And I can really tell, especially the boys' bathroom, that they're not doing it. I don't even know what else to do. Because, like I said, they're 20 and 21. I feel like they're too old to be getting whoopings. I don't know what else to do if I'm telling you clean the bathroom and you still don't do it, other than I just won't ever go in your bathroom. I don't know what else to do for it. But that's crazy. You said your sister would make up half the bed. See, I didn't have those kind of stories because I was the only child in the house. So I had whatever my mama told me I had to do, I had to do. Now my dad, I was his only child. So when I would go see him on the weekends, he would pay me to wash the dishes. Like But it wasn't just the dishes from the weekend. He literally would pile the sink up throughout the week that I wasn't there. And I went to his house every weekend. So on Saturday when I would get there, the sink is full of dishes. But he would pay me $20 to wash them. So I didn't mind washing dishes at his house. But I did not like washing dishes at my mom's house. I just felt like I didn't even use all those dishes. So, that's a big difference. But you got anything else to talk about with the parenting?
Well, I was sitting here listening to some of the things you were saying and trying to think back to when we were kids versus how these kids interact in the same scenarios. Like, I don't know if giving us those daily chores helped or didn't help, or the fact that our kids don't have daily chores is messing up. It's clearly a different day and age. Mm-hmm. We can't deny that. And let me just say this. If Google had been around when I was in school, I promise I'd have been a straight A student. Man, I wouldn't miss no questions. But there was no Google back then. But anyway, I just don't know what it's going to take to wake these kids up, so to speak. Because as a parent, all you really want is to see your kids succeed. Mm-hmm. It's even greater if they could succeed without having to go through all the heartaches that you went through trying to get somewhere.
I think the things that we're experiencing with our kids are common to other people's kids. Like, I used to think our kids were weird because it can be 100 degrees outside and they have on hoodies. But I've heard other parents say their kids are doing that too.
Oh, yeah, I see them on the bus stop. I see them at the bus stops and in the store. Like, you're dressed like that and it's in the middle of summer? I don't get it. And then, let's just flip the script when wintertime comes.
Oh, yeah, they got on shorts and
Crocs.
Crocs and T-shirts, no jacket, no coat. They don't even think about a coat.
And it's raining. And it's raining.
That's another thing. Like, we used to dress for the weather. Like, you literally would look at the news the night before to see how the weather was going to be to plan your outfit.
At least when the rain was coming.
Yeah. These kids, like, they wear Crocs in the rain. They wear sandals. It's as if they're clueless.
They seem like, I hate to call them aliens, but that's kind of a fitting word because of the way we were raised. It just doesn't make sense. It's missing a lot of common sense. It doesn't have common sense, right? You know? And I think if it had more common sense in your day-to-day activity, it would make more sense to us. But if I sit here and look at you and I'm like, what were you thinking? I don't get it.
I think about how we grew up versus how they're growing up. And I think back on the first time I went to the grocery store by myself. I don't remember the first time I went to the grocery store by myself, but I'm pretty sure it was when I was living alone. But I do remember my mom, like, taking me to the grocery store and her saying, just waiting in the car, like sending me in to get something. Go in there and get a loaf of bread and some milk. And I don't remember the first time I did it, but I know I did it. But these kids, I feel like if we gave them that task, they would have a million questions about, like, how do I pay for it? How do I do this? Like, they are growing up in such a different time. Like, our 18-year-old, she works. And she's kind of like me in that she kind of takes care of everybody else. So, like, she's 18. We have a 14-year-old and a 7-year-old. If she is going to, like, order DoorDash or something, she orders food for them too. So she, like, caters to them. So, she, like I said, she uses DoorDash, Uber Eats. She orders groceries from H-E-B and has them delivered to the house. Like, these are things that probably if we had to do that when we were growing up, we would be like, well, how do you do that? You know, I don't know how to do that. It makes me laugh to think about, you know, when you're in the workplace and you see older employees and they're trying to do things on their phone and they're like, can you help me send a text message or can you help me check an email? That's kind of how I feel as opposed to what our kids are capable of. Let me be clear. We have some very good kids. Like, we're not getting calls from the police every week. We're not, nobody's
seeing probation officers.
Nobody's on probation. Nobody's, we don't have any grandkids. So they're pretty good kids. But I think they're just in a different, they're like growing up completely different. I thought about this not too long ago about the things that they've experienced as kids. Like, they have so much trauma and turmoil around them regularly that it almost makes them nonchalant, and I wonder if that's the reason they're not eager to get out of the house. Like, they have to deal with school shootings. Can you imagine being afraid to go to school because you don't know if somebody's going to walk in and shoot up the place? Like, we didn't experience that type of thing when we were growing up. You might see a fight in the lunchroom or something with some hands, but not not guns. Not knives. They're seeing the police beat people, at traffic stops and kill people on TV. Like, we didn't see these type of things, and they see it regularly. Like, with social media, they're just scrolling through. It's like it doesn't even faze them to see these things anymore.
And social media uses as entertainment, not. Really, it's not really news or...
Oh, no.
I mean, you might feel bad for the person that got beat like Rodney King or something, but, when you're just scrolling through and you stop and watch it, that's entertainment.
Just you mentioning Rodney King, like, that was such a big deal for us growing up. Like, seeing that, I mean, people did TV episodes about it. It was unreal. And imagine, they see this every day.
They see those type of beatings, like you say, on a daily basis. If you want to, they're right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was no way to really publicize or view them when we were coming up unless you sat there and watched the news. And even then, the news might not show.
Oh, they weren't going to show all that.
They didn't show all that. But now, no one's waiting on the news. Actually, the news is going to social media. Let me get a copy of that. Yeah, that'll make my news a little better. Let me get that copy off of you there.
The news, Instagram and Facebook went down the other day, and the news was like, I got a notification on my phone from KHOU saying, don't worry about the Instagram and Facebook being down. I'm like, what are y'all? Why is this even on the news? But it's crazy. They have so much that they go through in technology, social media. They are, I believe, far more advanced than we were. And I don't know. I just feel like they're not as inspired to work hard as we were because everything is served up to them. Like you said about Google, they can... My daughter, I think when she took the SAT, I think they allowed her to bring a calculator. I don't remember. I think they told us we couldn't take a calculator. Or, they just allow them to use all kinds of things. It's almost like the kids have to have cell phones when they're at school because the teachers literally give them assignments to use the phone while they're in class.
Yeah, it's the communication now. Instead of handouts.
Yeah,
it's a link.
They don't get school books anymore. Everything is online. So everything is just served up to them so easily that I don't think they have the desire to work hard. But I do think they'll learn to work smarter because of the technology, because of all the, social media. They're finding all sorts of innovative and creative ways to make money. It's just they're very different than how we were growing up. When we were growing up, it was like certain jobs you knew to have. It was like fireman, policeman, doctor, lawyer, teacher, nurse,
Now those are frowned upon.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to school that long to do all that.
And why would you? Because there's folks on YouTube making six figures, there's $1 million.
Now I just want to be an influencer. Our 7-year-old thinks he's an influencer. So it's just, they're just different. They're just different. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get to Ask the Amoses.
We have Ask the Amoses today, and then we will be done.
Let's get to it. So, it says, my fiance and I are getting married in spring of 2022. We currently live together, and I'm concerned about his spending habits. He constantly tells me he has overdraft fees. I would like to know if you think it's a good idea to have joint bank accounts, and if not, how can I tell him we need separate accounts without hurting his feelings?
Well, definitely a good question, because you definitely need to either address and deal with, find out what's going on here with these spending habits, because overdraft fees going into marriage is going to be pretty rough. And I don't know what's going on there. What would you say to a guy that can't stop spending but keeps coming up with overdraft fees? Like, you need to prioritize number one. Yeah, it sounds like you're buying things that you probably don't have the money for if you have bills too. So you can't just shop willy-nilly and then wonder how the bills are going to get paid. Especially when you're trying to be a leader and lead this woman. You got to give her something to follow. You know, if you're not responsible with your ends, then you know that can definitely draw some red flags in the beginning. That definitely needs to be discussed, but it's a good thing you see it now.
Yeah. I was gonna say that it's best to address it now before you get married, and this is not something that you need to ignore. Like, you really do need to address it because it can get much worse. But as far as having joint bank accounts, I think if that's what you guys agree to do, you can. But you definitely have to voice your concerns about the overdraft fees. And you mentioned being the man being the leader in the household. The man is the head of the household. You know, when you think biblically, the man is supposed to be the head of the household. But women manage the household. And there's no reason you can't be the one to manage the money. And so if you do get a joint bank account, then you, as I assume you're the one that's more fiscally responsible, financially responsible, you can be the one to say, okay, we're going to put ourselves on a budget. We're going to, make sure we're not spending more than this amount on food every week, or this amount on gas, this amount on shopping, whatever. You prepare the budget and try to keep you guys on track. You can be the one to manage it. But if he's not willing to do that, then keep the separate bank accounts, but impress upon him the importance of not having those overdraft fees, because when you do things like try to buy a house, or I don't think they ask for it when you're trying to buy a car, but if you try to buy a house, they're going to ask for your bank statements. They're looking to see if you have overdraft fees, because if you do, or you have over a certain amount within 1 year, they're not going to feel like you're credit worthy. So you need to explain that to him. And like I said, if you do want to have joint accounts, you be the one to manage the money. Don't. It's obvious he's not doing a good job at it, so you be the one to do it. But you guys definitely need to have that conversation prior to getting married. The fact that you're living together already, you really need to have it now, because this is something that's going to affect you both.
And money is one of those. I don't know what is the deal with that subject, but couples don't just dive at the opportunity to have that money talk. You know, especially if we're dating, we're both trying to impress the other one and make it look like, you know, we got it all together. And, you know, I may not be super rich or whatever, but I'm handling my business. So, you know, you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to keep that shield up where it looks like I'm taking care of my business. And, you know, hopefully, if I have overdraft fees, I can discuss them with my homeboy, but I don't want you to know about it.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you about it. I wonder what's the reason he's telling her about it. Like, is he expecting her to offer him some money? Like, why would you be constantly telling somebody you have overdraft fees?
Or maybe he's saying it because you're going to have to put the whole rent this month.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm down right now, so I'm gonna need you to cover my end of the rent. But you know, whatever it is, it's good that you know you have your eyes open to see that there's a need here. So as long as you guys come together and find a way that you both feel like can work and address it now, like she said, before it, you know, you cross that threshold and get down the road and it gets even worse. You know, and then you'll be like, man, you know, we should have discussed this, you know, because then everybody's, you know, you start getting attitude and I have to do everything around here. You don't want to let it get to that point. So,
all right. Well, we pray that God blesses you and blesses you in your soon-to-be husband's finances. We pray that he provides all your needs and that you get out of that shackle of debt. We pray for all our listeners. We're so grateful for you guys tuning in to the podcast, and we will see you next week. Have a good Sunday.